ChatGPT is the single tool you need to prepare for your congressional internship interview. Here's what. ChatGPT is a tool I've utilized to land multiple job offers in nonprofits, in my dream government agency, the Department of Justice. Back when I was applying to congressional internships 4 years ago, landing my dream congressional internship that helped me land these opportunities. I didn't have ChatGPT. But if I did have it, here's how I would do it. Before we get into this, I just want to share that I do have a course outlining step by step the specific process that you need to take in order to prepare for that congressional internship interview. If you're interested, first link in bio. Otherwise, just stay for the rest of the video. You don't want to miss that last point because that's going to be essential for you to really succeed in this interview. So what I want you to do is I want you to ask ChatGPT this one question. What are some behavioral questions that will be asked for me in a U.S. House of Representatives congressional internship interview? And I want you to get the most relevant 5 to 10 questions, copy it to a Google document, and I want you to list them out. That's the first thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is you want to start answering each question, perhaps 5 to 10, using the CAR method. CARR. I'm sure you've heard of the STAR method, and I'm sure you've heard of the CAR method with just 1 R. But this one specifically, a little bit more specific, that will help you towards your interview. CAR stands for context, action, result, and relation to position. That last point is something that no one talks about. Context is something that you've done in the past. It could be a project you've worked on. It could be a task you had in another opportunity. And that's something you want to speak about, an extracurricular, a course, and you want to see that situation as its context, as something that's relevant to the position. What was the action? What was the result of it? And then after that, how does this relate to the U.S. House of Representatives internship? So let's say you're managing Excel spreadsheets, for example, in your congressional office. Once you have that internship, then what you want to do is you want to highlight that you've had that experience in a prior internship by saying, oh, there was a moment where we didn't know what to do with the leftover phone cards that we had. It's a bunch of connections that we had, a bunch of business cards that we didn't know how to digitize it. So I took the initiative and I did an Excel spreadsheet, right? What was the context? There's business cards that people didn't know what to do with. What was the initiative, the action, the A in CAR, that you took the initiative to do that? What was the result? That after you did that, we could eliminate all the business cards that we had, and now they're all digitized, and now the company doesn't have to deal with that excess paper that they had lying around. How does this relate to the position? Well, according to the job description, there's going to be some databases I may have to update in this position, and I have the skills necessary for that. That's an example of something that you can answer in your own words, in bullet points. You don't want it to be more than 1 sentence, more than 2 sentences. This is not a paragraph answer that you want to recite to the interviewer. These are bullet point summaries that you can look to in a cheat sheet, like a Google document, once you're doing the interview, so that then you can get reminded about the story and share it to the recruiter. Storytelling is what helps you succeed here, not blindly reciting your own words. These are meant to be simplified bullet points. So that is what you want to do. The second thing you want to do is go more position specific. Now, this one, you might not have to use ChatGPT, but if you want to, you can utilize ChatGPT for this. You upload the job description on the ChatGPT website, and then you say, what are position specific questions? And then you do the exact same thing. 5 to 10 questions utilizing the CAR method, right? And so if you, let's say, don't want to use ChatGPT for this step, I'll give you a hack that's even easier than ChatGPT, believe it or not. For this one specifically, what you can do is just look at the bullet points in the job description and go through each one and say, tell me about a time when blank. Tell me about a time when you blank. Each bullet point in the job description is a duty or responsibility for the position. Of course, they're not going to ask you, tell me about a time you did a memo for a congressman, because the chances that you've done that as someone who's never interned in Congress is very low. But they're going to ask you something like, when was the last time you wrote a summary of something related to a congressional bill, or a summary of something related to political opinion, right? Then that's something that you can recite. Oh, in my political science class, our professor told us to look at a news article, an opinionated editorial on New York Times, and I was able to simplify it in a 2-page paper. And so I have the experience of simplifying things towards condensed language as similar to the memo. And then you ease into the answer utilizing the CAR method. It all comes back. All in all, you with this category of questions, you should have a bank of 10 to 20 questions. But don't get me wrong. If you don't want to go out to all 20 questions, you can only have 10 questions, and that'll be enough. If you have 10 questions, you'll be able to answer 80% of interview questions. And most of the time, if you're preparing, you're going to succeed. You're going to land the offer, because most students are not doing this. They're blindly using ChatGPT, but then they're not coming up with the answer themselves. You could utilize ChatGPT to get the questions, but the answers you have to come up with. Now, if you're having trouble understanding, what are my experiences? What are things that I can actually write about? What are contexts and actions and results that I have that I can implement? If you need more help with that, first link in bio, I have a course detailing the strategies towards really getting the most out of your resume, the most out of your experiences, the most out of your extracurriculars. And if you're in a point that you really do have these experiences, which most of you do, you're more than capable of that in this internship. You just have to know what to write. And this course simplifies it to a point where you will be able to answer those questions at ease. And no, wow, I honestly thought I did not have experience with this, but I definitely do after looking through this course. First link in bio. Otherwise, stay tuned for more YouTube videos like this. Like and subscribe. Take care.